what you do has got to be as essential to you as oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
It's the skin on your body.
Mm.
It's the love of your parents, your mama and your daddy, and your wife and your kids. Something like that is so primordial and so visceral and so essential that if you don't do it, the rocks are going to shout out.
Mm.
That's your calling.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing can stand in the way of that, ever. No matter what the circumstance, no matter how decrepit the politicians are, no matter how greedy the elites are, no matter how vicious the white supremacists, male supremacists, homophobes, transphobes are, you got to do what you doing, given the little time you have between your mama's womb and tomb. And it's all on you. It's lift your voice, not echo, lift your voice. That's the anthem of our people.
Mm.
And the voice of Michael Bennett, Jr.
Mm-hmm.
All he got to give to the world. And can't nobody give it the way Michael Bennett Jr. can give it.
Right.
And so when you look at whatever grimness, whatever despair, you say, yeah, bring it. It ain't gonna paralyze me. Bring whatever evil you got. It ain't gonna surprise me because I'm already fortified with memories and joy that the world can't ever take away.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna be fueled by that memory and joy, and then that deep love, what we started with. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You experience, the forgiveness, with mom, the deep love of parents, the deep love of coaches, and that love always spills over, different colors and different countries and different genders and sexual orientation. The love that sits at the very center of Sister Tricia's corpus, you see. And once you had that fortified man, it's like Train on his saxophone. It's like Michael Bennett with his pen. You think Train gonna stop blowing his saxophone?
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no way. He got too much to give.
Mm-hmm.
But he's always sensitive to what's happening in the world with Malcolm and Martin and Alabama and so forth and so on. But does that make sense, Jill?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing you say that, we're going to act in the world in relation to all of this shenanigans that we might call the election coming up. That's how I read your question, Michael, like what we supposed to do with that. But when you stay on your path, find your voice, as Cornel's saying, wherever that is, whether that means you become a coach or a writer or a poet, or you expand your foundation or whatever it is that you do, that it's about honoring your core sense of self in that process. And that is what will guide your decision about how you engage with whatever shenanigans are coming. Because shenanigans are on permanent repeat. Apparent. I mean, ain't no shenanigans with an end date. So, right. So that's what I'm hearing, Doc, encourage you to be mindful of, because this is one of the things we all get caught up in. How can I be in the struggle right now? How can I help? And we start looking for where does everything, where can I give right now based on where the need is? Brother, the need is everywhere. Yeah. So we settled that. It ain't no place we don't have a need. So you go where you need to go. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's really with the voice part that Cornel's focusing on, because then you can be true to that. You can be true to that forever. The struggles will change and you'll know your North Star is your way of being in the world, whatever the need may be.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. So that's that's great, because I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You finding your voice and how you amplify your voice. Like you said, Coltrane, it's like, he didn't have to do this. The jazz did it for him. He was able to, it was like an extension of who he was. And I think when you leave sports or you leave something that was an extension of you and recreating a new extension, I think that's the fear part, like creating new extension that I think a lot of us as athletes come into that connection. Like we had this thing that kind of represented us in a way that we were, we didn't feel pain, made us feel superhuman. And now trying to find a new way of doing that is always hard. But I feel like it's like I feel like I've been able to find, like, making music. Like I make my own music. I do a lot of different things. So I feel like there's so many ways to amplify your voice and not really, dimming your creativity. I think that's the hardest thing. I think is finding creative ways to stay yourself.
But in a way, you're lucky, right? You've conquered a whole career in half a lifetime. So you have now a whole nother adult lifetime to decide what else you want to do. You know, some people takes their whole life to get kind of a little bit of mastery in the one thing they know how to do, and they don't got time for a whole nother thing. So although it's frightening, it's also so exciting, and you're so poised to do it and so committed and ready and have done all this work on yourself, on your own, on not just intellectual work, but core work about really honoring who you are, because everything flows from that. Everything. So we're looking forward. We're gonna have your books. We're gonna have your videos, your books, your spiritual guides, whatever's gonna be your gift in our hands. We will have and we will share.
And one last thing you got going for you, brother, is at the deepest spiritual level, you like a funk master. You like George Clinton and them, which is to say, ain't nothing phony or fake about you.
Right.
See, that's crucial.
Yeah.
That's crucial, man. When you're dealing with something that's real inside of you, what you've been wrestling with, the battlefield on your own soul, and how that relates to the souls of others. To stand up, you shatter the fakery, and you push back, you know, what's phony. You can't fake the funk. Everybody know that. You can't fake the funk.
And that's what I was telling when I retired, I was saying that was one thing I talked to my friend about. Was like, he's like, oh, you retire and you feel, I was like, man, you know what? I feel like I stayed true to myself. You know, I never compromised on morality. I never compromised on my belief system. And I was able to keep playing and doing those things without, you know, how hard that is to do that. And so I was telling him, so I feel like walking away at this time, being healthy, like sound of mind, like having health, like you don't value that until you get
Trust
older.
me.
That's true.
That is true.
So I just, like you said, I feel good, and I'm so grateful to be on this. But I do think it's so many great people like you guys that are just like out there for us young people. I feel like as young people, we think we are creating so much stuff, and then we look back, it's like, oh, they already had that. Like, so it's like.
Well, I feel the same way. I'm sure Doc does too. We look back and we're like, they already had this before us.
That's true.
But it's so good.
That's true.
Dear Tightrope family, we are joining Patreon. We're partnering with Patreon because they are empowering creators to maintain independence, thereby allowing us to offer you access to weekly exclusive content. By joining, you will gain access to special opportunities to engage with us as we share what we're reading, offer behind-the-scenes clips from our episodes, and ask you for your input around what we should focus on next. We want to express our sincere gratitude for consideration in joining us on the Tightrope and becoming part of our Patreon community. Thank you for helping us to maintain our creative freedom on this righteous journey as we produce and distribute content of high integrity. Together, we can amplify truth, cultivate hope, and work to create a just world. Thank you, and stay strong.
My blessed Tightrope family, we are delighted to work with our brothers and sisters at Patreon in order to preserve our independence of mind, to preserve our free spirits, and most importantly, to preserve our quest for truth and for beauty and for goodness. Please be with us on this journey.